One big question from the Chiefs-Commanders game was, why were the Commanders having so much success moving the ball in the first half? And what did the Chiefs do to stop it in the second half? The Commanders looked like they were getting everything they wanted, even though it only amounted to 7 points in the first half because of the fourth down stops and the interception that the Chiefs got. But the second half, the Chiefs really managed to shut the door on the Commanders. So let's take a look at what was going on in the first half and what the Chiefs might have cleaned up in the second half. And we're going to start here with 13-16 to go in the first quarter. The Chiefs and Commanders are tied 0-0. It's the first drive of the game, and the Commanders have a 1st and 10 at the Chiefs' 45-yard line. 45-yard line. The Commanders are in shotgun. Mariota has 2 to his left and 2 to his right. They motion Ertz over to the right. And then they motion Deebo Samuel over to the left. After faking a handoff, Mariota just swings it easily to Samuel over on the left side for a quick 5-yard gain. Now, the Commanders' offense was kind of predicated in the first half on getting small chunk plays in order to keep ahead of the chains, make manageable third downs that Mariota could convert. And one of the ways that they were managing to do this, one was getting just quick passes out underneath defenders, and the other was to really exploit the flats, oftentimes with late defenders leaking out to the flats. But in this situation here, nothing too complicated. They just run an end-around motion, and Deebo Samuel just comes out to the flat, and nobody picks him up. And in this situation, this looks like it's a man match, kind of quarters principles. If that's the case, that would be Tranquil's responsibility. If somebody comes out in the flat, he's got to be first to the flat here. He's got eyes on the quarterback and leaves a ton of room here. And ultimately, this ends up being a 5-yard gain on first down, which helps to keep the chains moving. So this here, why were the Commanders getting things in the flat? In this situation, this was just a drop, like a dropped coverage. This should have been Tranquil getting out there to the flat and making this a more difficult play, but instead the Commanders just get an easy 5 yards. And you can see here, it's a kind of late motion over, and the Chiefs do kind of step over and adjust to it, but as Deebo goes out there, you can see Tranquil with his eyes in the backfield. I think it's the run motion that kind of delayed him getting out to the flat. The fake run here, and then he just doesn't get on his horse and get out there, and the Commanders get an easy completion here for 5 yards. Now we jump ahead to 4:09 to go in the first quarter, and now the Commanders have a 3rd down. It's 3rd and 2 at their own 15-yard line. Mariota's in the shotgun again. This time he's got 4 to the right, 1 to the left, and then they move Deebo Samuel over to the left side. He's empty in the backfield. He takes the snap and then initially faces some pressure, rolls out to his right, and finds McNichols down the sideline. Busts it all the way down, about a 24-yard gain or so for a big first down. So again, this time we talked about like late leaking to the flat. McNichols is actually lined up tight here on the right, and he hopes to chip Karlaftis on his rush. So he chips Karlaftis on his rush, and it looks here, this is basically a variation of, a cover 1. They're essentially manned up here. This does look to be some like man match pattern, but they're essentially manned up on the outside. You see you've got Cook as the single high safety. Connor's running with the slot. McDuffie's running the outside. Jalen Watson's running with the guy on the other side. We got a robber roll here for Jaden Hicks. And so really this is cover 1 man, and the only difference here being is that Tranquil tries to pass off Zach Ertz here to Bolton, but Bolton really has the responsibility of McNichols, and since McNichols stays in initially to chip, Bolton's a little late getting out to him, and then Connor's man ends up running a nice route that ends up picking Bolton, and he's just late to the flat. And so again, we've seen two plays now where the first one was just to allow a little bit of a play to get ahead of the sticks, but this is a third down conversion here. And the Chiefs just dropping guys going out to the flat, Bolton not there in time, and then isn't able to kind of cut off the angle and make a stop. Instead lets him get by, and that results in an explosive play here. So for the second time in 2 drives here, we've seen examples of the Chiefs just not adequately covering the flat. They're just giving Mariota these easy underneath options to help him keep the chains moving. All right, we jump ahead to second quarter, 5:20 to go, and the Commanders have 2nd and 10 at their own, looks like 34-yard line. They're down 7-0 at this point. So we've got Mariota in the shotgun, running back with him. He's got 2 to his right, 2 to his left. Fakes the handoff, drops back, dumps one in the flat to a wide open backup tight end who gets a gain of 20-plus yards. So again, checking this play out. The Chiefs again are running like match principles. Again, looks like quarters principles here. You've got these guys manned up, which leaves your overhang defenders as like first to the flat. So if you watch Leo Chenal here, as the tight end over here chips and comes out to the flat, Chenal picks him up. However, on the other side, as the tight end chips, goes to the flat, Tranquil lets him go and instead keys in on the running back, who Bolton is right there to take, completely dropping the tight end coming out to the flat. So again, Tranquil missing a flat assignment here. And again, it's a late leak to the flat, and the Chiefs just aren't picking it up. And they're here giving Mariota these easy opportunities to move the ball down the field. I mean, there's nothing special about this. I think, again, the threat of this varied run game of the Commanders definitely got Tranquil to step up here. But then once that is gone, it's unclear to me why, when he sees Mariota's got it, why he's not getting on his horse and getting out there. As like Chenal was able to stay over the top of this tight end. Instead, he gets drawn in by the running back here and completely drops the tight end. He's just making easy work for Mariota. So we're seeing this pattern of the Chiefs just dropping guys going to the flat, not adequately getting sideline to sideline, and then providing Mariota with these easy options to just move the ball down the field. Then we're later on the same drive, and we've got another third down. With 3:16 to go in the second quarter, we've got a 3rd and 5 at the Chiefs' 39-yard line. Mariota is in the shotgun. He's got 3 to his right, 1 to his left. Drops back to throw. Again, experiencing pressure and just lobs a pass over to a wide open McNichols. Again, gets a big gain, this time about 18 yards to keep the chains moving. And again, the Chiefs here are just playing a cover 1 man. So they've got Connor as the deep safety. Roland Wallace is coming in as a robber role. And they're manned up here. Nick Bolton is manned up on McNichols. And this time McNichols again staying in to chip, and Bolton kind of comes in as if he's going to green dog blitz, which is essentially if your guy stays in to block, you can come in and blitz. They call that a green dog blitz. But then McNichols releases, and Bolton is out of position to try to run with him, to the point at which he almost like gives up on it and tries to go straight for the quarterback here. But Mariota is ready. He lobs a pass. It was a nice lob because it looks like Leo Chenal is basically spying here. And so Mariota then is trying to get this over to McNichols, and he lobs it right over the top of Leo Chenal right there. Just pops it right over. But again, the same issue we're running into here is we're talking about Chiefs linebackers, and we've got either people releasing to the flat or particularly late releases to the flat. This time it was just a release over the middle. But it's the linebackers not accounting for people that are releasing late or releasing to the flat. And again, just giving Mariota these easy safety valves, easy plays that are able to turn into chunk plays. And it was the theme of the first half, as you can see. Multiple examples here of just easy throws, late releases, coming out often to the flat, this time over the middle and across the field. And the Chiefs linebackers just aren't able to play these sideline to sideline the way that the defense was running in the first half. So now let's look at the kinds of things the Chiefs changed up in the second half to try to help combat this. We're going to start with 8:31 to go in the third quarter. Chiefs are up 14-7 at this point, and the Commanders have a 2nd and 5 at their own 27-yard line. Marcus Mariota in the shotgun again. He's got 3 to his right, 1 to his left. He rolls to his right and throws over the middle, over to the left side, incomplete to Deebo Samuel. So what's different about this play compared to the others? First of all, this is cover 1 man, so we've got one deep safety, that's Jaden Hicks in this case, and you can see the man coverage across the board. And we've got Bolton is responsible for the running back, and Brian Cook is responsible for the tight end. So those are your 2 that could leak out and underneath. And just look at the aggressiveness with which, especially Brian Cook comes down and gets down into the flat. Look at Cook fire down there and be ready. He's prepared for a release here. He's there. If this tight end comes out late, he's ready to pick him up, man, not getting distracted by anything else, just following up with the tight end. And then Bolton in this case, similarly, the running back's trying to release. Bolton's right there, right on top of it. Not excessive eyes in the backfield, not getting distracted. There's a renewed energy here to focus down on the flats and not give them anything easy. The third part of this is if the tight end is going to come and help with a block, a lot of times they block and turn people loose, although in this case he's kind of on an island against Karlaftis. One solution is bull rush him. Karlaftis engages and bull rushes him backwards. That might just be his pass rush strategy here, but it also prevents the tight end from having a situation where he can release and leak off. If you try to, swim move past him, he might cut you loose and come out into the flat. But if you bull rush him into tomorrow, or into yesterday, I should probably say, then there's no chance for him to release. So the bull rush preventing really a release, Cook coming down anyway and being ready for a late release, and then Bolton being all over the running back from the jump. The Chiefs clearly put in a renewed emphasis here on these short underneath guys. Let's fire down on them. Let's take that away from him and make him beat us down the field. Make him make some throws. We jump ahead to 2:43 to go in the third quarter. The Commanders have a 2nd and 10 at about their own 35-yard line. Mariota's in the shotgun. He's got 2 to the left, 2 to the right. They motion McNichols over to the left. Mariota fakes a handoff, drops back. He throws to the flat to McNichols, who's wrapped up by Brian Cook for a gain of about 3 yards. So on this play here, the Chiefs are blitzing. They bring both linebackers, and they do end up dropping a Menahue. So it's really only one extra person on the blitz. And they're running kind of man-match principles behind. And again, look at Cook, who's responsible for the flat here. Look at how he fires down there. I think on one hand, just strategically putting more responsibility on the safeties out in the flats was a nice change. But the actual just intention of, getting down to the flats and then charging in, the line of scrimmage is right up here, like the 24.5-yard line. And look at how quickly Cook gets to him and makes sure that this isn't some chunk play. Because even 5-6 yards, changes the complexion of third down. And here the Chiefs are able to force a 3rd and 7. So again, just a renewed emphasis on managing the flats, a strategic change in making this more of a safety responsibility rather than a linebacker responsibility. And the Chiefs were much more effective at, in this situation, preventing a big play from a dump off just in the flat. And now we're at 7:52 to go in the fourth quarter, and Washington has a 1st and 15 at their own 30-yard line. Marcus Mariota in the shotgun, 2 to his left, 2 to his right. Drops back, looks left to the flat, and throws incomplete to McNichols. So here on this play, you've got Bolton responsible for the flat. This is again a cover 1 man. You see the man coverage across the board with 1 deep safety, Roland Wallace, and Drew Tranquil playing the robber role. Bolton is manned up on McNichols, and look at the emphasis here. Bolton's actually out there closing the gap. It hopes that the pass rush is collapsing the pocket and makes this a little bit of an accurate throw. But again, even in the case where we don't have a safety, this time one of the linebackers is there. He's out there making an intention, following an emphasis of getting out there to the flat. Don't give him anything easy. In this case, they're not able to complete the throw. You can see it here from the end zone view. There was some pressure, but Mariota just not able to throw this. And look at Bolton being right on top of the play. Look, there are obviously multiple factors as to why the Chiefs' defense looked so much better in the second half. Part of it being that the offense looked better and it changed the game script. In this fourth quarter situation, down 28-7, they kind of creative run actions they had that was holding linebackers aren't really as effective anymore, as they're not really scared about you running the ball. But at the same time, you can see one of the factors was the Chiefs were just leaking yardage in the flats and leaking yardage to late releasing offensive players, usually who's responsible, linebackers were responsible for these players. And in the second half, you can see that the Chiefs made a renewed intention to, prevent these easy yards in the flat, sometimes by getting someone like Brian Cook to be out there in the flat. And even when it was Bolton or a linebacker, just getting out there, getting on your horse, making sure that we clamp down on those easy ones, make Mariota make bigger plays, and he wasn't able to do that tonight.